In this tutorial, guys, we are going to be recreating this beautiful gown. If this sounds like what you're interested in learning, keep on watching and let's get started. I'll be showing you the fabric and the necessary tools you're going to be using. Now, on top here, I have half yard of velvet sequin fabric and I have 3.5 yard of Ankara print. I have my scissors, my chalk, and my straight ruler. I've folded my fabric into 4. So the upper part of the fabric is folded into 2 and the one underneath is folded into 2 as well. The fabric below is bigger with 2 inches because of the zipper allowance. This means that I added 2 inches right at the down part because of the zipper allowance. Okay, so just know that the one at the top is going to be the front piece and the one under is going to be the back piece. The back is wider than the front by 2 inches. Now, first of all, right at the upper part, I'm going to mark down 1 inch for the baseline or the shoulder points. Now, I'll place my tape on that point and mark down to 11 inches, which is my bust point, and I will draw it across just like this. Now, after this, I will still leave my tape on the shoulder point and then mark down to the waistline of 17 inches. So here is my 17 inches and I'm marking it across. Now after this, I'm going to still leave my tape right there and mark down to 26 inches, which is my hip points, and equally draw it across. And then after that, I'm going to mark down to the length of my gown. Okay, now the actual length of this gown is 58 inches, but I've added extra 2 inches, making it 60 for also my folding allowance of the down parts. Now after this, I went ahead to cut out the remaining pieces so that I will have my length 60. Now let's move over to the upper part and we start to input all our measurements. Now remember, we have a zipper allowance right there, so all my measurements, I'm going to be starting from the center front, which is the upper part. So I've marked in 3.5 inches for my neck width, and then the neck depth of the back, I'm going to be using 1 inch. Remember, we are drafting both the front and the back together because they are placed together. Okay, now I connected it with my curve. If you don't have a French curve, you can easily use your hand. Okay, so just know how to freehand it, and that is all. Now after that, from the upper part line, I went down by 3 inches as well for the front neck depth. Remember that the back neck depth and the front neck depth is always the same. Okay, now place your tape on the center front and on this shoulder line, mark your shoulder divided by 2, mark it out, and then go down from that point by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Now connect this shoulder slope to the neck width. And now after this, on the bust point line, I'm going to come up by 2 inches. Now this is going to be my chest line. On this chest line, I'm going to divide my shoulder into 2 also, mark it out, and then connect it to the shoulder slope. Now after this, I'll move over to the bust point line, and then I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4. So whatever it gives, go ahead and add ease allowance of 0.75 inch. Okay, so initially I added 1 inch, but I'm still going to correct that. And then after that, go ahead and input 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. Now move over to the waistline and divide your waist circumference by 4, mark it down, add 0.75 inch for ease. Okay, and then add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. So remember, like I said, I initially added 1 inch on the bust point. Okay, so I went ahead to reduce it a bit and then connected my armhole. Now I'll move over to the hip, divide my hip circumference by 4, mark it out, add 0.75 inch for ease, and then I'll be adding 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. So whatever it is I have on this hip line, I'm going to take it down to the hemline. Okay, that is what you can see me doing. Now you guys, because of the size of this dress, the person does not want it too free, okay? And because we are also making use of zipper, that's why I'm adding just ease of 0.75 inch. Some people do add 1 inch, okay? If you want it a little bit freer, you can add 1.5 inches, and that is it. So I'll move over to the back, and what I'll do is to, from the center front, I'm going to go out by 1 inch, okay, on the waistline, and then connect it back to the chest line, and then down to the hip points to contour the zipper allowance, okay? And after that, move over to the upper part and add up your 1/2 inch shoulder sewing allowance, okay? Now after that, we went ahead to cut out the back neck first. Now after cutting out the back, I proceeded to cut out the front neck depth, and then I went ahead to cut out my shoulder and then the armhole. Now after that, I went ahead to cut out the side, okay? So once I'm done with this, we are going to continue with the front, okay? So we have our front and the back right now. All right, let's go ahead and slit the zipper allowance of the back because we need it to be in 2 pieces. All right, so we are going to go ahead and cut it out. You can see the way the waistline went inwards, okay? That is that. And just note that the zipper allowance is 2 inches that I used right there. I believe I have said it initially. Now this is for both my front and the back. The next thing I'm going to do now is on the neckline, because we have a slit right at the neckline of the front. From the neck depth of the front, I'm going to go down by 4 inches, and from the neck depth of the front also, I will go in by just 1/2 inch and then connect it to the 4 inches depth. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. I will still cut it out, but first of all, let's cut out the design in front, which you are going to use this velvet material to cut out. So first of all, you have to locate the part that is stretchy, very stretchy, okay, and that is going to be the width. So I've folded this velvet material into 2. Now the first thing I'm going to do is mark out the length of the shoulder. All right, and after that, I will determine the length that I want this design to be. So now I'm making use of 11 inches, okay, but I extended it to about 13 inches because I'm going to hem it right there. All right, so I am done marking it out. I went ahead to cut out the neckline and then the shoulder. Can you see? Now after cutting out the neckline and the shoulder, I'm going to remove my Ankara, okay, but before I remove it, I'm going to have to notch the length of the shoulder. I have notched that. I'll go ahead and remove the Ankara piece, and then I'm going to remark the length of my design, okay? And you see I'm trying to mark it out. I have about 12 to 13 inches right there. So now after that, from these 12 inches of length, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. But first of all, let me cut out what I have just marked out, okay, because the remaining part is not included. Can you see? So I've removed that part. Now let's go ahead and cut out the length so that you guys can understand, okay? So what I will do is from the length I will go up by 2 inches, okay? This is just to get the sharp curve at the down parts. There is this style at the down part, it is not straight, okay? So to get it, I went ahead to use my French curve, this part of my French curve, and what I did was to connect it to the center just like this, okay? And then after that, I went ahead to cut it out. Can you see? So you are free to walk around with any design that you want at this point, okay? But this is the particular design on the one we are recreating, and that's why I'm making use of that. So guys, I am done doing that. It is time for us to cut out the slits right at the center front for both the design fabric and the Ankara fabric itself. Can you see? So I am done cutting it out, and this is what the neckline looks like, okay? So here is the design. You can see why I did not trim it out previously. Okay, so I wanted to trim out for both the Ankara and this particular fabric we are using for the design together, simply because velvet is very stretchy, and if you don't do that, it might turn out wider than the Ankara itself, and you don't want that to occur. So guys, I've gone ahead to cut out the lining. Now my lining is 1 inch shorter than the actual fabric. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do is bring in the front part of the Ankara and also the design. Now I'm going to go hem the sides of this design. Even the down part, I'm going to hem it inward. Okay, you can either do that by stitching in with 1/2 inch, or you go ahead and use your pressing iron with hemming gum to hold it inward. Now after doing that, what I will do next is pin it up on this my Ankara. Place it properly with your pin. Okay, you want to work with your pins, arrange it properly, and then move over to the sewing machine to stitch it down all around. Okay, so I'll be showing you how to do that right now. Now on the sewing machine, you're going to make sure that you are sewing on the tip. Okay, so you're going to stitch as you can see me trying to show you right now. So stitch all part of it, do not leave anywhere, because velvet is very stretchy. But here is a tip on how to go about this. If you're a beginner, make sure you use your hemming gum to hold it down on the fabric before you go and stitch it. Okay, so after stitching it, next you want to do is to turn the neckline, the down part and the side seam, and turn it out from the armhole. Repeat the same thing for the back. We have 2 pieces for the back. Okay, so repeat the same thing. Turn the neckline, the down part and the sides, turn it out through the armhole. Okay, so guys, I am done doing that, and this is for both my front and the back. Go ahead and place it on each other, making sure that the sides align, and then mark out the zipper allowance. Can you see what I am doing? Now after marking this out, I'll move over to the sewing machine and stitch it using a tight stitch, but some parts I'm going to stitch it with a loose stitch, especially that side of the slit and the zipper area. Okay, so guys, I am done turning this out with my lining, and also I have turned the back as well. I have stitched both the 2 pieces of the back. Now here is what I did. From the upper part, which is the neckline, to 20 inches, I stitch with a loose stitch. Okay, now from here down to these points, I stitch with a tight stitch. Okay, now to get your slit, from the down parts, mark up 18 inches. That is where your slit is going to be, and you're going to sew that part with a loose stitch as well. All right, so each part of where I sewed with a loose stitch, I'm still going to loosen it. Okay, the upper part, I'll have my zip there, and the down part is going to be my slits. Now remember that to contour the zipper allowance, we went in by 1 inch. Okay, so if you want to stitch this, remember to replace this 1 inch. This is exactly what I'm showing you with the blue chalk and the yellow chalk. Okay, what I'm trying to explain all along is that my zipper is going to pass through the blue line. All right, and that is just it. So I'm going to join both the front and the back together. First is to join the shoulder, and after that go ahead and join the side seam. I'm equally going to fix in these pockets. I cut it out of camera because I have a detailed tutorial on how to do that in this channel. Okay, I've equally installed my zipper, and this is my full dress. You can see this is my pocket sitting beautifully well. Now we are going to fix in our sleeve. The sleeve is going to be a basic sleeve. The first thing I'm going to do is measure the round armhole of my dress. If you find this smaller than your actual armhole, go ahead and trim it a little. Now here is my basic sleeve. The length is 14 inches and the width is 8 inches. 8 inches on the hemline, okay, which is the full length of my sleeve. Now I'm going to cut out band, which I'm going to place on top my sleeve. Okay, so go ahead and place your fabric on fold, and after that you fold again, making it 4 fold because we want to cut out 2 bands. Now from the folded end, mark 8 inches, which is the width of the length of the sleeve. Okay, but I went ahead to cut out 10 inches because I want to be on a safer side. Now after that, go ahead and cut the height of the band. So the height is 4 inches. That is what I want. And if you take a look at the inspiration, it looks like the band is in total 3 inches. Okay, so I went ahead to cut that out. Now I cut out 4 inches because I'm still going to fold in half an inch right at the upper part and then use half an inch to turn the hemline. I hope you understand. So here is my band. Now the upper part of this band, I'm going to fold it in like this, okay, and use my hemming gum to hold it in place, or you stitch it with your sewing machine. Okay, now remember to cut out your lining, and the lining should be 1 inch shorter than the actual fabric. So you can see I've placed in my band. What I did was to use my hemming gum to hold it in place on the actual fabric. Now I'll go ahead and turn this out with my lining. Please do remember that the lining should be 1 inch shorter than the actual sleeve. So I'll go do this and equally fix it on the dress. As you can see, I am done fixing in the sleeve, and this is the final look of the dress. Let me know in the comment section what you think. This will bring us to the end of this tutorial. If you are yet to join this beautiful family, please hit on the subscribe button and turn on your post notification so you get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Don't forget to share this beautiful tutorial so that your loved ones can see it. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.